Thousands of Africans across the continent rallied under the unified call of Hands Off the AES to express their solidarity with Burkina Faso and its revolutionary leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré.
Burkina Faso, a landlocked nation in West Africa, home to more than 20 million people. Once celebrated for its revolutionary leader, Thomas Sankara, it now finds itself under another young and charismatic figure, Captain Ibrahim Traoré. But while Traoré is praised by many as a symbol of African pride and independence, critics warn that his government is quietly dismantling democracy. In July 2025, Burkina Faso dissolved its independent electoral commission. Elections, now postponed until at least 2029. Is this the birth of a new African revolution, or the slow march into authoritarian rule? To understand the current moment, we must go back to 2022. At just 34 years old, Captain Ibrahim Traoré led a coup that overthrew the transitional leader Paul-Henri Damiba. Traoré justified his actions by pointing to escalating terrorist violence, corruption, and a lack of progress. For many Burkinabe, weary of instability and French interference, he appeared as a savior, a soldier who spoke the language of the people. Traoré's rise coincided with a wave of coups across the Sahel, where military leaders promised sovereignty, security, and dignity. His youth, revolutionary rhetoric, and references to Sankara made him an instant icon across Africa. From the beginning, Traoré framed his leadership as temporary, a transitional phase until peace and stability returned. He promised reforms, economic sovereignty, and eventually free and fair elections. Supporters filled the streets with chants of Traoré ou rien, Traoré or nothing. His speeches resonated with millions across Africa who saw him as a new voice against imperialism and foreign domination. But promises of transition often clash with the reality of power, and soon the road to democracy began to narrow. In July 2025, a crucial institution, the Independent National Electoral Commission, was dissolved. This body had overseen elections in Burkina Faso since the 1990s. Its role? To guarantee fairness, transparency, and credibility. But under Traoré's order, its powers were transferred directly to the Ministry of Territorial Administration and Security, an arm of the executive. Government officials defended the move, arguing it would streamline electoral management. Critics, however, called it a devastating blow to democratic checks and balances. Without an independent referee, elections risk becoming tools of those already in power. And then came the second shock. Official timelines revealed that elections would not be held until at least 2029, 7 years after Traoré first seized power. In Ouagadougou and other cities, reactions were divided. Supporters of Traoré celebrated the decision. To them, elections are less important than security and sovereignty. They argue, what good is democracy if the country is torn apart by terrorism? Civil society groups, however, sounded the alarm. Human rights activists, opposition politicians, and independent journalists warned that Burkina Faso was drifting into one-man rule. But their voices struggle to be heard. Traoré's popularity remains strong, especially among youth who see him as the only leader willing to stand up against France, the West, and even ECOWAS.
For a fortnight, Ouagadougou has been boiling. Reason? Burkinabe are tired of how the West, in particular France and America, are mistreating their leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré.
Inside Burkina Faso, the move sparked alarm. The United Nations, the African Union, and Western governments raised concerns over democratic backsliding. ECOWAS, already at odds with Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, saw it as yet another rejection of its regional order. But Traoré and his allies in the Alliance of Sahel States brushed off the criticism. For them, sovereignty means deciding their own political timelines without outside interference. And with new partners like Russia offering security assistance and economic deals, Western leverage is shrinking. Traoré defends his decisions with fiery rhetoric. He argues that Burkina Faso is at war with terrorism, that external interference has only made things worse, and that Western-style democracy cannot function in a country under siege. In his words, the people need bread, schools, hospitals, and security, not ballots that change nothing. For many ordinary citizens, that message resonates. They see elections as hollow rituals that brought little progress in the past. Traoré's regime, in contrast, has raised civil servant salaries, launched infrastructure projects, and pushed for national control of gold and cotton. Yet, history offers warnings. Across Africa and beyond, military leaders who promised temporary rule often stayed for decades. By dismantling independent institutions, Burkina Faso risks creating a system where power is concentrated in the hands of one man and his loyal circle. Without electoral competition, opposition voices fade, accountability weakens, and corruption can grow unchecked. Even if Traoré is genuinely popular today, what happens when frustration grows tomorrow? Without a democratic path to express dissent, tensions could boil over into unrest. Many compare Ibrahim Traoré to Thomas Sankara, the revolutionary leader of the 1980s. Sankara also rejected Western influence, championed self-reliance, and inspired Africa with bold reforms. But Sankara's rule, though visionary, was also short-lived. In 1987, he was overthrown and killed in a coup led by Blaise Compaoré. The lesson is clear. Charisma and ideals alone cannot shield a leader from the dangers of unchecked power. Institutions matter, democracy matters. Without them, even the most promising revolutions can collapse into dictatorship or chaos. So what lies ahead for Burkina Faso? If elections truly wait until 2029, Traoré will have ruled for 7 years without a popular mandate. His supporters hope this extended timeline will allow for stability, development, and victory over terrorism. His critics fear it will entrench authoritarianism and silence dissent. Much will depend on whether Traoré uses these years to strengthen institutions and prepare for a genuine handover, or to consolidate a permanent grip on power. Ibrahim Traoré stands at a crossroads of history. On one hand, he represents hope, a young African leader challenging neo-colonial influence and striving for sovereignty. On the other hand, his political restructuring and democratic rollback raise fears of authoritarianism. For now, Burkina Faso's people remain divided, some cheering a revolution, others warning of a dictatorship in the making. The world is watching closely. Will Traoré be remembered as a liberator who restored dignity, or as another strongman who sacrificed democracy for power? Only time will tell. This is the story of Ibrahim Traoré's democratic rollback in Burkina Faso, a story of hope, fear, and the uncertain future of a nation at the heart of Africa.